Okay, a quick midweek update. What's going on with my precious Cocoro and the market in general? Well, obviously Bitcoin had a little bit of a crash, right? Due to all of the stuff going on with the war. And so the altcoins had a crash, and obviously the meme coins feel that the worst, especially the low cap meme coins, right? So this got a pretty big crash. And also the hype hasn't kept up, right? There was some hype going on back here, and there hasn't been much hype since then, right? Except HTX did post a picture of this dog today, right, of this meme coin. So I'll show you that in a minute. But yeah, we haven't really had any news for this. Bitcoin crashed, the altcoins got annihilated, and everything's having a little bit of a recovery now, right? So this came all the way down to this trend line, and it bounced off of this trend line, right? And you see here, we just got one wick straight up, and it sold off really fast, right? And it came beneath this trend line. So after I saw this sell off, after I saw this bounce up and then sell off so fast, I had no choice but to sell half of my bag, right? Because I had such a heavy bag in this. I had no choice but to sell half of my bag. Because I needed to go to sleep when this was crashing down to the lows. I needed to go to sleep, right? And the amount of pressure I was feeling because I was so heavily invested into this. the amount of pressure I was feeling. I had no choice but to sell, because obviously there was a chance that I could go to sleep, right? And then somebody could send a nuke, you know, Iran or something could send a nuke or whatever. I don't know what's going on with the war. And then I could wake up the next morning, Bitcoin's down 75k again, all of the other coins are completely annihilated, and I would have been effed, right? So I had no choice but to sell, right? So I had to sell. That was a mistake on my part from going too heavy into this too fast. Okay, I should have DCA'd a bit. I should have put in a chunk, and I should have chunked in, you know. I went in too heavy too fast, right? Anyway, so I sold half my bag because that was the sensible thing to do. That was the logical move, right? It wasn't really a panic sell. I was panicking, right? But this was a logical decision because I was keeping the panic under control, right? But this was a logical decision to do this. Even though it would have worked out better if I just held, right? But I couldn't have risked that. There was too much. But I still am holding a really big bag of this, don't get me wrong. I'm still holding a big bag of this. But just half as big as it was, right? So that's been a lesson for me not to go too heavy. I got a little bit greedy there, but I still do believe that this coin is going to run to 100 million market cap, maybe even up to a billion market cap. This can do it. I do believe this one is the one. And so yeah, we're kind of recovering now, right? And we're coming back up to this resistance point. This was a support before, and now it's kind of acting as resistance. Look, we're kind of having a resistance against it. So maybe we're going to come back down, right? I'm going to let the dust settle on this. I'm not going to buy any more just yet. I'm going to let the dust settle. I'm going to wait for it to consolidate. If it does, right? If it does run up, if we just get some exchange listings and then it pumps, I'm still in, right? So I won't miss the move. I just won't make hundreds and hundreds of thousands of pounds like I would have done before. But whatever, I'll still make a decent amount of money from it. But maybe I won't be a millionaire from it now, right? But hey, there'll be other opportunities to come, right? And there might be another opportunity with this soon, right? Maybe we're going to dip down again, okay? Maybe we're going to come back down here again, and maybe I can throw in another bag later. If the dust, it depends where the dust settles, right? Maybe we go up a little bit and the dust settles up here, and we consolidate up here, and then maybe I'll buy in again higher, right? It's not ideal to do that. Obviously, I don't really want to do that. It would have been better to just hold, but you have to make the right decisions at the time. You can't look into the future and then know what the best decision was. You have to just take the right decision at the time, if that makes sense. So yeah, maybe I'm going to end up buying in higher, right, again, but still, it's only a 15 million market cap still. It's still got a lot of upside on it, so it's not the end of the world. But maybe it's going to have a dip and then come back down lower, back down to 10 mil, or maybe even 8 mil or something, you know, maybe. If Bitcoin has a dip, because Bitcoin's at resistance now as well, right? I know we're recovering a little bit from obviously what happened, obviously the ceasefire stuff and everything. So we're having a bit of a recovery, right? But we're still up against resistance at the all-time highs here, okay? And the volume's taping off here, right? You see the volume, there's some volume here. It's kind of the volume's taping off, right? So I think there is a chance that we could dip beneath the 200-day moving average here. Maybe we can come back down to this trend line, right? Maybe. But maybe not yet, you know, maybe a little bit later in the year. I think we could have another dip, maybe through September, Now, maybe the next couple of months, I think it's possible that we can have a dip. Maybe not. Maybe we go up towards the highs, right? But based on the 4-year cycle, right, the end of the year is going to be the top. Okay, based on the 4-year cycle. Obviously, I don't know if it's actually going to be the top. Bitcoin could just keep on going up forever at this point. Now that we've got the ETFs, you know, Bitcoin might just take off forever and then just leave the altcoins in the dust at this point. You know, maybe Bitcoin's just going to be the one that just keeps going up. Bitcoin's pretty much in a league of its own. But yeah, if Bitcoin's going to have another dip over the next few months, right, and then it's going to continue upwards towards the top trend line up here in the end of the year, then, you know, maybe this is going to give us some more buying opportunities, right? So if Bitcoin is going to dip beneath here, then this is obviously probably going to dip more, right? It obviously depends on when we're going to get the exchange listings and the timing of everything, right? If the market's going down, we're probably not going to get much exchange listings for this, right? And it's probably not going to grow much. The exchanges are going to try to list when the market's bullish, right? Because that's when, if they list when the market's bullish, then that's when retail are going to hop in and they're going to start trading. So the exchanges will try to time the listings of new tokens when the retail come in, right? When the new people come in and then everything becomes more active, they're going to try and time the listings in order to generate the most trading activity so that they can generate the most profits from fees, right? It's basically how it works. So yeah, if Bitcoin's going to take a dip, this is going to take a dip because exchanges probably aren't going to list it whilst it's dipping. And then when Bitcoin finally, like say Bitcoin has a dip down here over the next couple of months, or we have a dip down here or something over the next month or two, maybe we don't come down that far, but we could, right? We could. Exchanges are not going to list it probably, okay? And then when at this point, if Bitcoin's going to have a pullback like that, then we can have another rally. It's easier for us to gain some momentum from down there, right? Then they're probably going to start listing these tokens, right? So then Cocoro will likely be listed there. But also, obviously, if we don't have a dip and Bitcoin just breaks past all-time highs and then runs up here, then obviously, then they're going to start listing it as well. So you can never know for certain which way it's going to go. So yeah, with this Cocoro now, I'm in for when that happens. And if we go down, I'm going to fucking stack my bag up again, right? And if I don't get an opportunity to hop in, if this just pumps up 10x like overnight, then whatever, it's not the end of the world. There'll be other opportunities. But yeah, I'm kind of hoping we do come back down a little bit now, to be honest, so that I can get back in. Well, again, like I said, I'm already in it, still pretty heavy, but I want to be in it heavier because I just really feel like this is just so obvious, right? Like every meme coin just seems like a complete gamble, right? Every meme coin you're just like, is this one going to do well or not, you know? But this one is just kind of like, it's just obviously going to do well. I mean, I guess there is a chance that it won't, but this is just the most obvious meme coin I've ever seen at a low market cap. Like basically most of them, they're not obvious at all until they run up to a high market cap and get listed on all the exchanges, and then you're like, oh yeah, that was obvious, right? But when you see them at this market cap, it's never obvious. You're like, oh no, it doesn't look very good, I'm not going to buy that. Or, you know, you just don't have a clue if it's going to do well. It's only when it actually gets listed on all these exchanges and goes like 100, 200 or more market cap, million market cap, then you're like, oh yeah, that was obvious. But this is obvious now. Like, it's just obvious, you know? Like, if you're watching this right now and you're not a regular viewer and you don't know what this is basically you've got the Doge coin dog, right? That was adopted by this particular person. And then recently they adopted another dog called NEIRO, right? Because the original Dogecoin dog passed away, so they adopted another one called NEIRO. And NEIRO, there was a meme coin based on that, and it ran up to over $1 billion market cap. And now they adopted this dog, Cocoro, okay? And this is the meme coin based on that, sitting at only a 15 million market cap. So this is just the most obvious play ever. It's just so obvious. I'd be surprised if this one doesn't do well. I really will. That's why I've been willing to take so much risk with this, because I'm just so confident it's going to do well, right? Could be wrong, but I'd be surprised if it doesn't. But obviously the real risk is if Bitcoin tanks and we go into a complete bear market, right? That's the real risk. If Bitcoin's going to tank, everything's going to tank. Doesn't matter what it is. So, but the HTX community page, which is ran by the HTX actual team, they posted this today, which that's obviously, that's a clear sign. Like they're probably going to list this really soon. You know, like they keep on putting out these hints now. this is like the most blatant one of them all, to be honest. It seems like they're building it up. I wouldn't be surprised if they listed it tomorrow, to be honest. But maybe not, you never know. They might wait a little bit. Again, like I said earlier, especially if Bitcoin dips and we go down in a bearish trend again, they probably won't list, right? They're going to wait for Bitcoin to take off, most likely. So yeah, this is obviously going to be a catalyst when HTX lists, and then probably going to get other exchange listings, and blah blah blah, so on and so forth. Hopefully we can get Binance, Coinbase, Robinhood eventually, and that would send this to $1 billion market cap, probably, right? Yeah, that's it for this video. So drop a like, subscribe if you're not subscribed already, and see you in the next video.